And a top focus on Newspoint this morning. Russia's Solsi-2 airbase, home to the Tu-22M3 backfire bombers, was hit by drone strike over the weekend. And now, photos have emerged which show the aircraft engulfed in flames at the base. Here's more on the incident and the formidable bomber that we're talking about. Now, Ukraine does not acknowledge cross-border drone attacks in keeping with its security policy. And the recent drone strikes reflect a pattern of more frequent and also deeper cross-border strikes that the Kiev government has launched since starting a counter-offensive in June. The Air Force installation sits roughly 115 miles south of St. Petersburg, which is 315 miles west of Moscow and 100 miles east of NATO member Estonia. Now, this puts it about 415 miles north of the border of Ukraine. Now, the Russian Defense Ministry stated that an airplane was damaged, but in the attack, that's what the Russian Defense Ministry says. But, however, the pictures, they speak a different language altogether. In them, the Tu-22M3 is up in the flames. Let's now take a look at the key facts about the lethal aircraft. Now, the Tu-22M3 is a long-range supersonic carrier bomber. Meanwhile, it is designed to destroy sea and ground-based targets by means of guided missiles and also aerial bombs. Meanwhile, the backfire is a conventionally designed aircraft with a variable swept low wing. And now, as per the Russian Air Force handbook, the Tu-22M3 can hit speeds of over 2,000 kilometers per hour. It also has a range of over 5,000 kilometers. And the bomber also boasts of a service ceiling of around 13.5 kilometers. Now, in its final form, the Tu-22M3 was put into service in the year 1989. And for more on this, we're now being joined by Glenn Dyson, an international relations professor from the University of Southeastern Norway. Welcome to the broadcast, Professor.
Oh, thank you. Pleasure.
Right. Now, Professor, after Tu-95 bomber, Russia has lost another bomber, a Tu-22 bomber, to yet another Ukrainian drone strike. Is it right, or can we say that Russia is unable to thwart Ukrainian drones at the moment?
This has become a key problem. Obviously, Russia's had these similar problems before as the NATO and Ukraine introduced new weapons. For example, we can all remember the HIMARS systems, which eventually now they're able to interfere with the signals, which reduces their accuracy. So as new weapons are introduced into the war, new solutions has to be found. But this is a problem that the Russians have not yet been able to solve. And it's a big problem as well, because this allows Ukraine to attack deep inside Russian territory. So it's, there's two ways that this can be solved. It's either it can prevent it with the military technical means, or they can deter it. And these are both two issues which the Russians now, I assume, will look more and more towards.
Absolutely, Professor. Now, the Tu-22 supersonic bomber can travel twice the speed of sound. And this bomber was extensively used by Russia to attack Ukrainian cities. And how we've seen the past few weeks as well, that Kiev's attacks on Moscow using drones have also increased significantly.
Yes, this is correct, and again, this is a very problem, and the destruction of the Tu-22 is a blow to Russia. This is a very important weapon it uses in this war. So, but again, I guess what it will do is it can look at these two things. If it wants to prevent the drones, it really needs to set up more of these electronic warfare systems to intercept these drones. But of course, the problem is that they can also be brought into Russia and launched there. They can seize more Ukrainian territory to give more to have more benefits or space to intercept these weapons. But I think that a key problem which Russia has been looking towards, how do they stop these drones? The issue is also the deterrence, because Ukraine effectively uses NATO weapons and NATO intelligence to pick targets and direct the strikes. So this is again, this is cross-border attacks, and NATO initially said that they were deterred, that they would not attack with their weapons inside and the intelligence inside Russian territory. But this apparently is no longer the case. We saw also the attacks on the port of Novorossiysk earlier, which is their Black Sea port, and so this is the problem, because Russia can strike NATO territory, but it doesn't because it's deterred. But now it seems that NATO is less and less deterred from attacking inside Russian territory. So this presents a dilemma for Russia, because if they do not strike back at NATO in some way, this is seen as emboldening NATO, because now NATO is no longer deterred. However, if they do strike NATO in some ways, they risk an open war and, well, a nuclear exchange. So they have to find a way of the deterring NATO, which will force them to address this dilemma. How do they strike back at NATO, or how do they escalate?
Right, Professor, my last question to you. Can you also shed some light on why Ukraine is successful in its drone attacks against Russia?
Well, during this war, the rules of war has changed. We don't know quite what the rules are in a proxy war against a nuclear adversary. But the problem is also the new weapons which has been introduced. Again, it's on both sides, and the Russians as well as developed a very advanced weaponry now during this course of this war. But we see the same on the Ukrainian side as well, with the assistance of NATO. They're also developing new weapons in order to overcome their challenge of Russia. So this is, I think, something we'll see more of.
Right. Thank you so much, Professor, for joining us and sharing your insights with us on this. Thanks very much.